Hello everyone, I'm Rob Duanius, and I'm back working on Rick and Morty. We got 1 hour here before I have to get some sleep, so... fun, fun, fun. Let's get going. C5. If I can't. God damn it. It's always something. Always something. Need the webcam controller. We'll zoom in. Thanks, Ash. This has got a ways to go. Ways to go. Yeah, this piece is also pretty intricate, so it's just patience. Patience is what will get you there. I do these as commissions. Yeah, this was a really expensive commission. This is my $350 tier. So I'm not doing too many of these. I usually save these for like Kickstarters. You know, I'll add a couple. So The Witcher's a smaller level commission. Yeah, I normally don't charge, like the 350 is usually one big ass character. So this right here, just because, I don't know, Kyle suggested a Rick and Morty and then I had this big envisioned idea in my head. So sometimes I put a lot more effort into a piece if I know I can, you know, something I really care about or want to put, you know, or I can use. So someday, somehow. Ah, thanks. Yeah, well, you know, that's why their stuff looks like they only did a couple layers, right? Do, do. Well, you can do a lot of stuff. I mean, I've done them. If you look at some of the Spider-Mans that I did in the past year, like the Superior and the 2099, like I used Copic as a basis. Like I rendered them in Copics, and then I did an entire background digitally, and then lit them to the background, painted over. You know, I did a Daredevil piece, you know, similarly that way. And that nets you like a nice painted look. Although I'll be honest, people at cons can't tell the difference between that and just a completely digitally colored piece. So nifty, I figured out how to do that, but I won't be doing much of that. I actually sell more of just the basic Copics. Now she worked on Star Wars, man. You know, I mean, I'm not Industrial Light and Magic, you know, caliber. Always be impressed by that stuff, but don't, you know, don't worry if you're not like ILM, you know? Like, don't stress over that. Well, to be honest, the design, the final look of Jar Jar came from Ian McKeag. He worked out, you know, that actual final look. And she did, you know, all the texturing and stuff. Those initial drawings. Hey, look, that design could have worked if the character was written well, you know? So, execution is everything, you know? I just want to move past the prequels, dude. I never want to go back, you know? Like, we got enough of that. Let's move on. Leave that to the fan films, you know? You can't get past that accent, bro. There's no way to make that cool. You have to change everything. Then you're right back into, you know, give them subtitles, fan edit territory, which is fine, but I mean that's just never going to happen. Well, Kyle, you're a picky guy, you know. Oh, I thought that was Kyle. That's Ash. Well, Ash, you're a picky guy. But the fact of the matter is, if we're watching things like, Game of Thrones and shit, you know, you can't expect that from Star Wars, right? Yeah, see, Kyle, you should make it. You know how you got a chance to make it? You make it with stop motion puppets. Like Leica. Because at least then it would be like, wow, he's stop motion. That's different. And maybe he can't talk because he's hiding from like Imperials or something. The whole episode. Call it like Hush Jar Jar. You know? Misa quiet. Thanks, like me. I think that if Jar Jar got really fat, he'd just grow up to be a hut. You know? Like, maybe the Nemodians, like, all those little fucking things, they like cocoon and they come out a slug. It's like the reverse of a butterfly. The hut is just a Gungan who, went into a little cocoon. Just rewrite all the history and you're like, no! Like. Jar Jar the Hutt, see? That could be the story. I'm gonna need a piece of. Sure, why not? Look what happens to a caterpillar to a butterfly. It's a pretty incredible transformation. From a fuzzy little, 20-legged something to this little thing with the giant colorful wings and can fly around. Nature's weird, bro. Never underestimate nature. Nature doesn't adhere to things like a 3-act play, Nature don't give a fuck. Gotta keep Rick looking sickly. Later. Make sure I'm getting that on camera. Copic that I use more than others. Not really. I mean, the grays, obviously. But nothing like specific. I mean, at this point, like I've whittled it down to the ones I just need. So, if anything, there's colors that I don't use as often, and at that point, I'm like, do I need those colors? Because I could always replace them with something else. And the light yellows I'll be probably doing away with entirely. Like Y00 and FYG1 I'll probably get. This is all done with just my chosen coat. Yeah. I'm using exactly what I show there. No special tricks or nothing. I can't lie, folks, because I forget how I do some of this shit. So I need to be able to go back and reuse these videos, you know? So it doesn't behoove me. I need to look right at it and go, oh yeah, it's that color. Oh yeah. But it took like 100 of these things to whittle it down, you know? And like I say, there's two colors right now. Like I'm probably gonna the Blick brand of Copics. Yeah, but they're not refillable, so there's no point. There's one other like Spectrum or something that I'm looking at in case the Copics are completely, still running into shortages. And there's a conversion chart between Copic and Spectrum that you can use. They're alcohol and they're refillable. So that's where you make your money back is on the refills because you can get a lot more life out of them. Where's Putty? Putty is one of those magic colors too. We can weather metal. It kind of bronzes things, you know. So it's a cool. You can use it on the teeth. He's got those little like smoker teeth, you know. They're like Prisma markers, the Blick ones. They don't have the super brush tip, so they got like that felt tip and they got the chisel tip. So the brush tip is really what I'm using these for because you get those like painted edges. In terms of color intensity, I don't know. I didn't buy enough to know the difference. I'll be honest, at this point I'm not up for experimenting with markers. I'm just using what I have, you know, at this point. And if I can't get the Copics, then I'll find an alternative to that. And I arrived at the Spectrums. Because right now to replace my entire set is 400, not including the refills, about 800 bucks just to do this 64. So I've spent like the last 3 years just like working that out. So I could not tell you. And what happens if Blick goes out of business, you know? Then they don't make their markers anymore? See how that works? That's a smart move. Or just doing tonals and Photoshop coloring over the tonals. Give you a nice painted look. That's acceptable too. You know? Yeah, nothing wrong with that, man. Megan Hetrick does a lot of that. Looks great. You know, nothing wrong with that. You know, sell those and build up a small little bit of Copic's colors per piece. Like, you know, if you know Spider-Man, then you only need, you know, few colors to do the Spider-Man. And then use that, sell that, and use that to, you know, get you some Venom colors or some Carnage, you know, colors. Or it's basically what I did. I used every piece to fund the next round of Copics. You know, I didn't just go and buy $3,000 worth of Copics and be like, let me see which ones I need. So you don't have to stress about trying to figure it all out right away, you know. And I did a lot of smaller ones. I did these little 5x7 heads when I first started. But I'd already been doing the watercolor for like a couple years, so going from watercolor to this seemed easy actually, all things considered, you know. Yeah, it's very different. But since you're always working in graphite, then the tonals will definitely, you know, make a lot of sense. And part of it's just going to be time in, you know, like never stress like you got to get super great overnight, you know. A complete set of Copics. Kyle will always steer you in the wrong direction. The doctor always lies. Tonals work great at cons, man. As for what sells best, please don't. No one has the answers, man. You know. You know what sells great when you create really cool things that just pop, and if you have your own thing going on too. You know, and you're like a cool person that they can talk to. That helps too. Nobody was doing saucy art when I started taking them to cons. You know. Now shit's all over the fucking place, and half the people are too lazy to learn how to paint, so then they use the Photoshop filters to give them that splattered paint look. You know. Oh, that's right. Nice. That's what I'm saying. Like, at least you can paint, right? Like, these guys are just using Photoshop filters and shit. Like, it's gonna add like that pop factor's tricky, man. Like, I did t-shirts for like the longest time. So like trying to get people like who walk into a store and notice your shirt on a wall full of 100 other shirts. You know, how do you do that? And I've had every sales rep ever try to tell me what some formula is for that. You know, and at the end of the day, it's like you got to think about the person who would buy what you're selling. You know, always think about the customer. You know, and what they would look for. You know, like what would the person who'd be a fan of this be looking for versus what do I think is going to sell? Because no one has that answer. If we all had that answer, you know, I've heard everyone pro and super amateur, you know, up and coming artists think that everyone else has it figured out but them, you know. And even the ones that, you know, do have a good track record, I mean, like, they find what people go to them for naturally. Then you always have to be improving too. Like, can't just keep doing the same shit all the time. So it's tricky. Later, Kyle. And then even now, like, I always hedge my bet. You never know, man. A con could just not be promoted well too. So I've built this little online thing so that way I can take commissions before I go and try to pay for the trip and not sit there stressing that I hope I can pay the fucking table fee, you know? You know, the watercolor saucy stuff I only did out of just sheer frustration with my fucking day job. You know? Everything I was doing was like super clean digital stuff and I was just mad so I was like I did this Joker face and you know, Slash Film ran with it. A bunch of people were like, "This is cool." I'm like, "Shit." You know. Then it took 100 other drawings to kind of get to the point where I'm like, "Oh, I think I might look like this." Like, I still don't have that worked out. You know. All right, let me block in some of the. No, no, thanks. Yeah, I'll be doing more of it live. You know, when I get back to it, I gotta the uh, the Copic stuff is just because it's faster. You know, and I'm unwilling to sell saucy commissions until like I know what I want it to look like. I'm not gonna have people paying me to paint in a style that I'm not exactly happy with yet. You know. Ah, thanks. 2, 2. Let me get her hair. Alrighty. I think. It's more of a caramel. I think it's more of a caramel. Chamois. Where is it? Motherfucking. Oh, there it is. Always print out a copy. Test it. Yeah, that'll work. I mean, the trick with any art is to create an emotion, an emotional response from people, you know? People aren't going to go, I'm going to buy that because you use Copic. So I've tried, use Copic, you know, or watercolor. They go, oh yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I can see, I can tell, dude. I had one guy go, yeah, I know, I can see that. You know? But if you can create an emotional response, you know, then that's a sale. I mean, every con I got some artist telling me about how, okay, now you got to have these characters because this movie's coming out. I'm like, that's not gonna work. How do you know people are gonna not hate that character? You know, how many times I've been in T-shirts and it was like, I give the old, I've given this explanation before, but it's like when we were like Iron Man 3, right? We had the Iron Man 3 shirt shits to do, and it's like, okay, the new Iron Man or what a fucking super patriot, the Iron Patriot or whatever. So it was like, that's the new guy, man. We got to put him on all the shirts, and I'm like, you know, he was a bad guy in the comics, you know, like, they're like, so I'm like, you know, like, well, you know, if he's a bad guy and he ends up being a bad guy in the movie, maybe no one likes him, you know. Like they all put Hawkeye on the shirt during the first Avengers film, and then you see how that went, right? So it's like you can't anticipate Like, if it were that fucking easy, you know? New character. That means everyone's gonna buy the new character. Like, come on, you know? Right. Well, I get that, you know? You just don't take commissions, right? Right. You're like, well, dude, what if they hate this shit? You know, like, you just can't. I mean, look, man, I love the Daredevil show. The merchandise doesn't sell, you know? It's not really about that. And quite frankly, dude, you know, I don't even know if now, these days, if the merchandise not selling even means anything because they're just inundated with how many superhero shirts can people own? You know, before, like, they're like, I own a superhero shirt. I own enough, you know? That's why all those weird mashup shirts on the internet, the bootlegs, you know, do well. The 24-hour sale ones, because that's just weird shit, you know? And you can't do that in licensed apparel. Like, Stranger Things is dope. I haven't finished it yet, so don't spoil. But it's like, I guarantee you, dude, you're not going to sell a grip of Stranger Things shirts. You know, you'll sell some stuff, but it's not going to be like the Batman emblem, you know? But these, and I've seen artists act the same way. Like, okay, so, okay, gotta have the Kylo Ren, gotta have the, you know, the fucking, what's her face? Daisy Ridley? You know? I've never been good with character names. Even on books I've worked on, I go, yeah, the blue one, the green one. My writers go, Rob, that, you know, they name the character's name. I'm like, I don't fucking know, man. Snake guy, Franken dude, evil chick, you know. I can't even remember this chick's name. I've seen every episode of Rick and Morty. I know Rick and Morty, and that's because it's the fucking name of the show. Like, I know Ren and Stimpy because the name of the show is Ren and Stimpy. I can't tell you the name. I think Mr. Horse I kind of know. I think his name is Mr. Horse, but I can't name one other character on that show. The Simpsons is probably the last cartoon I kept remembering characters' names, and then because as I grew up with it, and then, you know, I just stopped watching it around the mid '90s or the late '90s. So I just was like, I'm not around South Park. Even then, I don't remember all their names. The kids I know, but I can't tell you the fucking. I can't remember Chef, you know, but he's not even on the show anymore. Such a letdown for like fans too, and they go, "You don't know the names?" I'm like, "No, man, I don't fucking know." Like, I, I swear I don't have like my brain. You know, You ever watch Married with Children? I always give this example. Like there was this episode where Bud had to teach Kelly how to pass a test, and so he taught her all this shit. But he tried to explain that her brain was like this cup, right? And that you can, it's already filled up with stuff, and if you put new stuff in, the old stuff spills out. So she didn't know what a doorbell was. You know, I'm like the same way. Like first four seasons of Married with Children are great, but around the time Katie Seagal got pregnant and then she had the miscarriage, it just the show kind of never recovered from that. Then they gave him seven. Like, yeah, they should have just ignored the whole thing and moved on. Then she had to take time off the show, and they just pretended like she was still there. They'd see her wig and shit. It was weird. Um, the end, the worst is the final episode of Married with Children. That's just heartbreaking. But other than, I mean, those first 4 or 5 seasons were fucking the best. You know. Man, we're almost running out of time. Getting very close here. Oh yeah, I remember. You got to get the ones that are recorded though from people's videotapes because they on the DVDs they removed the theme song because they didn't want to pay for the license, which is ridiculous. It's like I have a Beavis and Butthead. They call it the King Turd edition. And it's just all from archive people's actual recordings. So you got the music videos. Oh no 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 no! You can't. And look, there's still great jokes in between those episodes. So I'm not saying the show as a whole is completely useless, but just with the whole thing with the kid and it's just the show took a weird turn, and then the final season with they wanting to get a divorce. It's like that wasn't the point of the show. They should have found other shit to do. So, to be fair, most shows hit their peak at 4 seasons, 5 tops. You venture into season 6, 7, 8. No show keeps that. I mean, Game of Thrones might be the only one, but even then, it's what 10 episodes a season. So we're talking 24 episodes. They hit their 100th episode. That show's pretty much dead, dude. I mean, how many original jokes can you write? You know? Yeah, I get the pirating, but what I'm saying is you're pirating the DVD copies, which they generally have the theme song missing. It's this weird, vaguely like the theme song, which is it's wrong. Alrighty, folks, it's midnight. which means I need to stop. I have to wind down and get some sleep. So I'll be back at it around 9 a.m. continuing to work on this. And we'll do that for another 3 hours or so before I head off to the dentist. So I will see you all in the morning. These videos will be up sometime tomorrow night. So if you're wondering why they're not in the stream yet, I make thumbnails now before I release them. So tomorrow night, I'll be making thumbnails. So somewhere around 9 and 10 p.m. tomorrow night, a lot of these videos will come up. I'll try to space them out over a couple days so subscriptions aren't being ran through with 12 fucking videos, you know? So we'll continue this in the morning. Thanks for hanging out, Ash. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Peace. Later.